Have college campuses become too politically correct? What I mean by political correctness or politically correct is self-censorship so as to not overly offend an individual or group of individuals. That is the general publicized uh, definition of that phrase. And I don't want to be politically incorrect, so I'm going to let y'all make that decision yourself on whether or not they've become too politically incorrect or politically correct or whatever. There was an article called The 13 Most Ridiculously PC Moments, PC being political correctness or politically correct, moments on college campuses. And they list 13 things that have happened within the last year or two on college campuses that have been deemed as either microaggressions or politically incorrect. And so they've come out either in articles or in statements or even in some policy changes that have suggested that these 13 things are politically incorrect and they are microaggressions, and that people attending those colleges would do best not or to refrain from using those phrases and words and microaggressions altogether. So I want to read these 13 and kind of summarize what they're trying to say with these 13 politically incorrect microaggressions. Number one, hating pumpkin spice lattes was declared sexist. Wrap your mind around that for a second. If you don't like pumpkin spice latte, you're deemed a sexist. And why is that? Well, the article says that if you say bad things to this inanimate object, pumpkin spice latte, you are really saying that girls don't get to have valid emotions. And that's according to the Phoenix, and it's an op-ed in the Phoenix, which is a Swarthmore College's student newspaper. According to the newspaper, generally, girls like pumpkin spice lattes. Therefore, saying that you don't like them is saying that none of the girls' opinions ever matter. Ever. Period. She said the same applies to making the person who wrote this article, wrote the op-ed in the Phoenix in that college newspaper, said that the same would apply to making fun of leggings, Uggs, whatever the heck those are. If you know what those are, please comment below. I would like to know what those are. And Grey's Anatomy, the TV show. So again, if you don't like pumpkin spice latte and you decide to say something bad about it, even just saying I don't like pumpkin spice latte is sexist. Number two, a university language guide from the University of New Hampshire stated that the word American was problematic. American is offensive because it fails to recognize South America and all the countries in South America. It also fails to recognize the other countries in North America. For example, Mexico and Canada. By saying the word American, it assumes that the U.S. is the only country inside these two continents. That is an actual phrase from this, what they call the Bias-Free Language Guide of the University of New Hampshire. It instead recommends that you use resident of the U.S. so as to not be um, insensitive to Canadians or to Mexicans or to South Americans. And just a side note, the University of New Hampshire did remove this bias-free language guide because it did get a lot of scrutiny in the last couple of months. But just the fact that it existed is mind-boggling. Number 3, a university study declared that we have to accept people who, get this, identify as real vampires. And according to researchers from Idaho State University and College of the Canyons and the Center for Positive Sexuality in Los Angeles, we have to stop discriminating against people who think they are actual real vampires. And the way that we're discriminating against them is people think that if you think you're a real vampire, you're weird. And so if I think my friend is weird for thinking that he is a real vampire, I am discriminating against him. First of all, I do not believe that you can discriminate against a fictitious race. Second of all, there is no factual proof. I'm sorry, you can deem me as a racist or whatever, but there is no factual proof that real vampires, the way they're depicted in the movies, exist. The myth is rooted in factual, historical evidence, yes. But there is no evidence that they have ever existed in the way that they exist today. In the sense of they're immortal, they're dead demons inhabiting human bodies. They can't go out in the daytime. They can't touch crosses, holy water, garlic, and you kill them by fire, which, to be fair, I mean, fire does kill just about anything. Or by a stake through the heart, which could also kill most things. And so on and so forth. There's no factual evidence that that exists. So if you are out there and you think that you are a real vampire, not just a descendant of what the vampires have been based on, but if you actually think that you are a real vampire, my friend, you are weird. Another thing that I want to say about this, or actually the article says it, according to the researchers, people who believe they are vampires are born with it. It's kind of like sexual orientation. You're born gay, well, you're also born a vampire. Or at least born thinking that you're a vampire. And this article says what I just said. If you think you are a vampire, you're weird. And I'm not talking about the little kids either. Kids have imaginations. That's to be understood. We're talking about grown-ups here. We're talking about actual adults that think that they are vampires. You're weird if you're one of them. Number 4, the word skinny was deemed violent. The Language Awareness Campaign at Western University in London declared a bunch of words and phrases to be violent, including skinny and get over it. Also whitewashed, because it is used to insult those who do not conform to negative stereotypes of a community or culture. The article, not the article at the university, but the article that I'm reading you now, gave also a note that said, obviously, that whitewashed is also to be, the word whitewashed can also be used to describe a freshly painted fence, but it is still considered a microaggression or a violent word by this university. So if I'm skinny, which I'm not as skinny as I used to be, but if I'm skinny, I can't refer to myself as skinny. I can't refer to any of my family members who might be skinny, or to any of my friends that might be skinny. I can't refer to them as skinny, because I guess I might offend people who are not. Okay, moving on. Number 5. A university declared the phrase politically correct, now get this, to be politically incorrect. Just in case you thought I might have misspoke, or that you might have just misheard me, or that you might have just missed what I just said, let me re-say it. A university declared the phrase politically correct to be politically incorrect. Are you screaming inside yet? According to the Just Words campaign at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, political correctness, or politically correct, the term politically correct is offensive because it has become a way to deflect. And it has become a way to say that people are being too sensitive. So if I use the word politically correct, I'm implying that people are too sensitive. Well, I'm not implying it, I'm saying it. If I ever use the term political correctness or politically incorrect or politically correct, I'm most likely saying that people have become way too dang insensitive, or sensitive, in America, or in the world, period. So yeah, I guess I just throw political correctness right out the window. Number 6, a room full of white people was determined to be a microaggression. I can kind of see why, but would it not be racist to assume that just because I'm white and I'm hanging out with my white friends, that I am deliberately rejecting other races, say African Americans or Asians or Mexicans? I mean, I'm being serious. I can see where if there's a lot of people gathered and they're only white, I can see why that can be considered racist, especially if you're in a place that is extremely dense with diverse people like African Americans and Mexicans. However, to assume that just because I am gathering with my white friends that I am part of the KKK, or I am a white supremacist, or that I am racist, is in and of itself racist, because you're assuming that all black or all white people are thinking the same, that all white people hate black people or Mexicans or Asians or any other race out there. The article says that if you're white, you don't have to do anything to be racist at all except for just hang out with your friends, because you hang out with other white people, you are racist, apparently. The article says that a room full of white people is in itself a microaggression. Number 7, this is a short one. A Harvard study declared that microaggressions can make people die sooner. Would that not solve the problem pretty quickly? I mean, if microaggressions just killed all the overly sensitive people off, I guess the problem would fix itself. I'm joking, by the way. I don't want people to die just because they have a certain belief. That being said, it is ridiculous that people are coming out with studies without factual proof that say things like this. Microaggressions can actually make you die sooner. Where is the proof of that? First of all, you can't just do some analysis for a couple of days or a couple of months or even a couple of years and show that people are dying because of microaggressions. That sounds like a study that would probably have to go on for 20 or 30 years. That would conclude that specifically because of the microaggression that's in their life, they died a couple of years or even a couple of months sooner than what they would have died. That sounds like a pretty arduous and hard study to conduct and a very long one. So I'm not going to do it. But I would like to see somebody do that study because I'm very curious if that's true. But I'm going to say as of right now, that's probably not true. Unless people are committing suicide or something over it. In which case I would say, again, too dang sensitive. Number 8. Some students were triggered by an anti-microaggressions exhibit. Apparently, according to the article, it's not just microaggressions that can trigger people, but anti-microaggressions can also trigger people. In April, a campus group at Brandeis University apologized after some students complained that they were hurt by the attempt to help make campus more inclusive. It sounds like it's becoming a big circle. Over and over and over again. Can't be, you can't be politically incorrect because it would offend minorities. But by being politically correct, you are now offending the people who don't like political correctness. That's starting to hurt my head. That now you can't be politically correct or politically incorrect because you're offending somebody if you do it. Well, here's a news flash. What if I told every gosh-forsaken person out there who's offended that by you being offended, I'm offended by your offendedness, so to speak. Yeah, because it's annoying and it offends me. Number 9, a student newspaper felt the need to clarify that it was not being transphobic by associating menstruation and tampons with women. The Daily Bruin, which is a newspaper at the University of California in Los Angeles, included a disclaimer on one of its articles explaining that the author was not being transphobic by suggesting that tampons and periods are a woman thing. Because after all, not all individuals who menstruate identify as women, and that not all individuals who identify as women menstruate. Again, people are trying to go against what they were created as. Like, I was created a guy, a man. It's something I would never want to even attempt to change. Women created women, and they should not attempt to change that either. If you're a woman, you menstruate up to a certain age, starting at a certain age, ending at a certain age. And because you menstruate, you use tampons. I don't know of any man who's actually a man using that stuff or menstruating. If you are a man that does, please comment below. Number 10, the war on pronouns. 2015, this is what the article says. 2015 was no doubt a tough year for this part of speech. In October, Kansas University Student Senate voted to totally ban gender-specific pronouns such as his and her from its rules and regulations document because they're microaggressions against the students who don't use them. In September, North Carolina State University defended a lecturer's right to dock students' grades for using he or him or her or she to refer to both men and women, as well as for using the word mankind instead of humankind. Same month, Scripps College declared that using the wrong pronoun to refer to someone was institutionalized violence, and even gave students the option to request that teachers use no pronoun at all to refer to them, because apparently that part of speech is general, or in general, can be a microaggression. Also, the University of Pittsburgh made sure to warn its faculty and professors to be super extra careful about which pronouns they use, even after a student has already told them which ones he or she prefers, because some students can change their mind. They change their genders over time, is what the article says. Also, as a last note, the article says that the mankind ban might suggest this was a bad year not only for pronouns but also for gender-specific language in general. Like I said, saying mankind instead of, or saying, not saying the word mankind, but instead using the word humankind. A University of Washington professor tried to create a policy that would punish her students for using. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Let me be more politically correct. A University of Washington professor tried to create a policy that would punish the professor's students for using the word male and female. I didn't know if she was a girl or not, even though she's a girl. Number 11. A yoga class was canceled on the grounds that yoga is cultural appropriation. Okay. In November, the University of Ottawa, I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, it's in Canada, abruptly canceled its free yoga classes because they were cultural appropriation. Yoga was connected to cultural genocide. The article says, geez, the only thing more ridiculous would be if the university banned, like, hoop skirts for being racist or something. Oh, wait. The University of Georgia did do that. So basically what this is saying is that yoga is cultural genocide. Okay. Number 12, the war on charity events. In 2015, political correctness was often considered more important than raising money for charitable causes. For example, here's another word here. At Quinnipiac University, a sorority had to cancel a fundraiser for foster children because one student complained that here's a trigger warning, guys, that having Americas on the promotional posters was racist. At the University of Kansas, some social justice activists declared that sorority hosting a charity event for children with cancer during one of its protests was a microaggression because the activists were more important. Okay, so I don't see how that's... Never mind. Number 13. And this is the last one. A university blamed a student's clear act of terrorism on the patriarchy. The University of California, Merced, hosted a teach-in to explain that a student who went on a stabbing spree did so because of masculinity and not terrorism. After all, the fact that he was found with a photo of an ISIS flag and the fact that reminders to pray to Allah and a manifesto about how much he wanted to behead his classmates were found among his belongings was not enough evidence to suggest that this might have anything to do with Islamic extremists. Obviously not. So basically, the university was trying to blame masculinity for the stabbing spree and not Islamic terrorism. So there you have it. I believe, in my humble opinion, that, yes, political correctness has become a cancer in our society. And it has become detrimental And it's not necessarily political correctness itself that is bad. It's the fact that it is perpetuating this idea of oversensitiveness. And that is the real problem in America. I would like to give thanks to whoever this person is. I don't know her. Catherine Tempf. Um, she's a reporter for National Review Online, and she is, I believe, the one who wrote this article. Let me make sure. Yes, Catherine Tempf wrote the article on December 29th, 2015. All right, so there you have it. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.